Today we're...
That's my job to just barely stay alive on air, mate. Not yours, you're only 52.
I'm cutting that out. I'm going to start again. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the Building Sheriffs. My name is Paul Puccioni, otherwise known as Pooch, and with me is my old mucker, Chris E.W. Jowett. Now, today we are talking about something, well, in fact, EW doesn't know what it's going to be because we haven't discussed it. So let me introduce Chris and then we can talk about what we're going to discuss today. How are you, mate?
I'm fine, mate, and I'm somewhat more chipper than normal because
Why?
Because I've
yeah. Normally you're a miserable bastard.
Yes, I am, but now this is peculiar. I went to have my hair cut, all right. And,
I was going to say, what is wrong with your head? You look like Max Headroom.
It's short, isn't it?
No, you look like Max Headroom's grandfather.
Yeah. But I went into Bert's, and you do know he's not called Bert. He's probably called...
No, of course. He's young and trendy.
He's probably called Jason, or I don't know his name. I don't know why not. Christ, I go there often enough. Anyway, so I went in there. And there were all these blokes talking about Liverpool match, etc. And you know this match that was yesterday when Liverpool pissed all over Man City. And I kept my head down because I know bugger all about football because I'm a rugby man. Anyway, they all went, and I said, I got up. He said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Make me look like Fernandinho." Now, to be honest, I haven't a clue what Fernandinho looks like. But
no, I don't know what he looks like. I know the name though.
As he's on 200 grand a week, and obviously Latin, he's probably quite handsome.
Yes.
So I thought that'll do. And you know, but
yes.
Anyway, so he made me look like Fernandinho, but unfortunately, it's Bert Fernandinho who runs a pie and mash stall on the Bulls Pond Road.
Yes. No, I know it well. I've seen him, and you bear a striking resemblance to old Bert Fernandinho. Mate, you look ludicrous.
Oh, give me
you
a
do,
break,
honestly.
Pooch. Anyway, the woman next door said I look like Paul Hollywood.
Oh,
now he's ludicrously handsome, is Paul Hollywood, and there's no.
Oh, I think
there's no way I look like him. I don't want to. Christ Almighty! Imagine going around looking like that.
Yeah, well, he's not my type, to be honest. He's not my type.
Me neither, mate.
So today, Chris, and I'll have a little chat with you about what I've been up to. Just to let you know, and let the viewers know that I've been up in town today, uptown, in my posh club. Well, that's why I'm wearing. Yes, look at me.
I can only see the top half of you, but you.
Hold on.
Well, I don't need. Oh yeah, those ridiculous shoes. I'm glad you got those on, man. You can't go uptown without those 200 quid brogues on, and you've got a jacket on. Is that part of a suit or just a jacket? It's got it's got a red lining, Pooch. Goodness me.
No, orange lining. It's a Ted Baker pinstripe, mate. Yes. So I was up in Posh Club doing some work. I had a couple of meetings, but also my son is doing work experience, and my wife Jo got him a job. I'm sure they had jobs like this when you were younger. It's in a games software company, and he had to test games out on computers all day. He had to find glitches and see where they worked, see where they didn't work. I mean, did you go on?
This is supposed to be work experience. This boy now thinks that what he does all day long in his bedroom, well, one of the two things he does all day long in his bedroom is actually work. He's got no concept of what work is, of course. Anyway, carry on.
It's the equivalent of when you were a kid, someone gave you a hoop and a stick and said, "Here, Chris, test this out, see if it works." And you would have just gone around the village with your hoop and a stick, come back to Mr. Smithers at the end of the day. Yep, that works. Great, I'll sell that one. And that's what he was doing. Anyway, so I was at town with Frankie, and I was editing some of our podcasts. I had a lot of time to kill in between bits and pieces. And I edited ones we've recorded previously on two on extensions and two on lofts. And you know what? They were boring as hell, and I deleted them.
Oh, you didn't? Really?
No, I didn't. But no, Chris, I didn't delete them because you can listen to them if you want. But they were boring as hell, and they are not going to be released. So today we're going to talk about extensions. They got all serious, and honestly, I was snoozing, and I suddenly got all depressed, thinking, "Oh man, this is terrible." I mean, talk about turning listeners away. Our 3 listeners away in droves. They'd all turn tail and run for the hills listening to those.
So somehow we have to make extensions sound remotely funny, do we, tonight? How do we get it? Let me go and have another pint of Old Peculiar then.
Okay, well, listen, whilst you take another sip, let's listen to this little jingle, because we paid for it. It cost me about $5.99 for unlimited lifetime usage. We'll use it and then we'll be back. Ding, ding, ding. Welcome back to the Building Sheriffs. I'm getting my value out of that jingle, and Chris has just had another sip of Old and Beastly, and today we are trying to make the process of having an extension built sound interesting. Now, if you're having an extension built, it's probably one of the more exciting things that's going on in your life at that time, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it depends who you're married to, I suppose, but essentially, yeah, it's certainly, it's going to make your house bigger, and you're going to have to deal with builders, and you have to start thinking about upping your mortgage. Whether that's exciting or not, I don't know. It depends on your on your outlook on life. But yeah, it's certainly something else to think about other than getting up, going to work, coming home, having your tea and going to bed. Yes. Well,
very true. That's lifestyle, isn't it? Actually, getting up, going to work, coming home, having your tea and going to bed.
That's not lifestyle, mate. That's keeping your head above water.
No, I think that when you're having an extension built or a kitchen put in or a loft conversion, it's like being on holiday and how your view of money changes. Usually when you have an extension built, it's the bank's money, isn't it? Usually. Remortgage, you've suddenly got another 50 grand in your skyrocket, and you think of all those fabulous things that you can have. Oh, our house is going to be bigger. Think of all the dinner parties we're going to have. All those fondues and martinis.
Yeah, all that.
And when you're on holiday, you feel like a millionaire, don't you? Because you've got money, spending money in your pocket, and you've got no bills coming through the door. And I think when you've got that extension money, that cushion, it's great at the beginning, but it soon runs out, doesn't it?
I mean, it does. The fun disappears pretty damn quickly when you've got builders in your house for a start. Yeah, and you suddenly realise that. On holiday the fun never runs out, because when I'm on holiday, I don't let it run out. I just think, to hell with it. I'm on bloody holiday. If I end up in a restaurant and the people next door say, "Do you want to come and join us?" and they're drinking champagne, yeah, says Mr. Arse.
And Jan's delighted that she can't get you out. Yes, I know that feeling. But the implication there, Chris, is that you are non-stop fun anyway on holiday. Are you? To me, it looks to me, you just look like an old bloke with a Fernandinho haircut who will sit around all day in exactly what he wears in Yorkshire, in the Algarve, drinking beer.
Absolutely, mate.
Let's get back to extension. So really quickly, let's rattle through the process. You're thinking about having an extension. All the boring stuff, as far as I'm concerned, is getting an architect in, talking about it as though it's the most important thing in the world. I've been there and done that. You've been there and done that. Planning permission and all that kind of crap. But we all know that we have to do that, don't we?
And there's actually a huge amount on the site about this.
Do you know, this is the 32nd podcast we've done. Well, let's take 4 off because 4 of them were crap. So the 28th podcast, that's the first time you've had the presence of mind to try and plug the website that you and I spent 5 years writing.
I keep forgetting about it, Poops. I do apologise, mate. I tell you what, I'll give the address. It's buildingsheriff.com. You probably don't need to mention www. anymore because Noah, who invented the internet, is now dead, and even he stopped saying that before he caved in.
Exactly. Poor old Sir Tim Berners-Lee. No, he is still alive, isn't he?
I hope for his sake he is, yeah. Did it make him a sir?
Yeah.
Good lad.
Yeah, of course.
It's probably the only thing he did get out of it.
Well, actually, he wouldn't have made any money. It's kind of a concept that you can't patent. You've gone through all of that boring stuff, but you have to do it. And you're right. On the website is I found lots of it informative, as when we had an extension done Gummy did all that stuff for me because I was away in New Zealand for the first part of it. He did all the planning and all that kind of stuff. I'm shocking with paperwork. But once you got that done, the fun is when you, for the builder, when you actually get your dig around and start digging and get the foundations in, and you really feel like you're doing a proper man's job, don't you?
You can start shouting at your labourers all over again. Because the last 3 weeks you've been in Mrs. Thing's bathroom, so you've been whispering. But when you're calling somebody a small, short Anglo-Saxon word because he hasn't got your muck there on time, whispering it at him isn't quite the same as bellowing it at him.
So you'll get the lads in, your garden will become a quagmire because not only are they working on the bit 3 metres out from your house probably that you're extending, well, the rest of it will be where they're storing gear and blah, blah, blah. So you can write your garden off for a year, I would say. All your turf's going to be ruined, isn't it?
Yep.
And you are going to very quickly realise that these men, between 4 and 8 of them, will be in your house every day for 12 weeks and be demanding tea non-stop. Well, they won't demand it, but they'll expect it, and they'll work a damn sight harder if you give them tea non-stop. And you will get to know them like your best friends or your worst enemies within that time, won't you?
Hopefully they won't be in your house for that period of time. Hopefully on the last week they'll eventually end up breaking into your house. When they take the French doors out, or they knock out a dirty 8 chunk of wall, so that your house now becomes part of the extension, or vice versa. Yeah. So hopefully you'll just have them knocking timidly at the door. But the best thing to do with that is just say to them, look, lads, here's the garden shed. I've put some power in it. Here's the kettle. Diddly-dee. Here's the cups. Make it in the shed. Make your tea in the shed. Or come into the kitchen. Send one person in who knows the routine. Here's a tray, diddly-dee. Don't you make it every day. It'll drive you potty.
Probably most of these kitchens are going to go anyway. You're knocking through, the kitchen's going to be ripped out. By the time you knock through, that's not the job finished. I don't think the kitchen is the problem. I think the loo situation is usually the problem, isn't it? So I would always ask the builder, are you going to have a portaloo? And honestly, just get a portaloo, plonk it in the front garden. Your man will come once a week in his wagon and spray it down and clean it out and empty it out. And I think that just gives you a real freedom, because if you've got blokes in their clod hopping boots with 2 pounds of mud on each one in a wet spring, running up and down your stairs, it's just a real intrusion, isn't it?
That assumes that they know that they've been house trained.
From a builder's point of view, a portaloo might sound like a really horrible thing, and it's full of disinfectant and everyone uses it, but builders don't really care. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, no one's ever died from getting germs on the back of their thighs if you're sitting down on a loo. Which is so true. You do. There is water to wash your hands when you come out, but that freedom of not having to disturb the customer. Bear in mind, customer, we don't want to disturb you. We want to get on with our work. We don't want you to come out. If you want to make the tea, lovely. If you don't, as Chris said, give us the tea making materials. We'll be happy. Just make sure that you pay the boss, and he's got his payment schedule sorted.
Indeed,
and everything should go fine, shouldn't it?
Payment's everything. And also, if you don't have a portaloo, all right. First of all, get this, missus. Builders hate coming into your house. They do not want to use your loo. And if you don't have a portaloo, after about 3 weeks, think to yourself, isn't this strange? I got 5 blokes working in my garden, 8 hours a day and not one of them's asked to use the loo.
Yeah,
they must be holding it all day. No, they're not, missus. I suggest you don't go around the back of your shed until you've had at least one good thunderstorm after the job's finished.
Yes, because all the grass will be dead. And that's the thing. The guys aren't dirty, horrible men. They're well aware that they are builders in someone's house, and they don't want to come into your house and disturb you. And the thought of going in for a whatever in someone's house is horrible and mildly undignified for both parties. So the guy, discretion is the better part of valour. He'll just have a waz behind your shed, meaning no harm, but hopefully trying to do it with your with respect for you in mind, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, before I forget, because I'm the world's... Oh, should we do a little jingle thing now?
If you must.
Right, there we go. That's a bit more money spent wisely. So when I know I'll forget this, so it's just popped into my head. When I was with Frankie in town today, and we met for lunch, we went round the corner. There was a whole street market of street food. There was Brazilian food, Thai, Lebanese, you name it. And then I saw this thing, and I think they've probably got it in Leyburn, Yorkshire burritos.
No, they don't. There's no such thing as Yorkshire burritos, other than street markets in bloody London. I've got a pal called Malcolm up the road.
Hold on, do you want to know what one is?
No, but carry on.
Oh, you know, burrito is normally.
No, I don't know what a burrito is, mate. I honestly don't know what. I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, so a burrito is a Mexican dish. It's basically a wrap. It's a Mexican wrap. So you have a tortilla, which is a flat flatbread, and then you'll put lots of spiced chicken or meats or whatever, and then you'll put some beans or whatever and wrap it all up. But here, because it's so trendy in London, it's a big Yorkshire pudding that they put all this Mexican burrito stuff in.
Oh, do they?
And then they wrap it up.
Well, that'll do, mate. And how much was it? A snippet, 15 quid?
It was something like that. Yeah. There was one other where it was. There was a ham shop. The jamón ibérico. The posh Spanish ham.
Once again, Pooch. No is the answer.
Oh, you get this little cone of shavings of ham, and outside it said only £5.80.
Only. Oh, that word drives me bloody crazy. Only.
So hold on. What was Malcolm? You were saying about Malcolm?
Well, Mark, you're talking about Yorkshire burritos. Malcolm up the road. This is about 3 years ago. Now Malcolm's 76 years old or whatever. So he's mid-70s. He had his first pizza two years ago. He'd never had a pizza at all. And first of all, it would never enter his head to have a pizza. But only until 2 years ago was there a pizza joint closer than 17 miles away. Anyway, we had this pizza. And he said, well, that was it. He's never having a pizza again. He said the box would probably going to be more tasty than what he'd just eaten.
I bet he called it a pizza.
Oh, yeah. He'd give him £1,000. He couldn't pronounce pizza, mate.
Let's get back to the extensions and try our hardest to encapsulate this process. So builders in. My favourite bit is getting the steels in. When you lift all the steels. No, I'm joking. So at some point, homeowner, you will have... A structural engineer will have drawn up some 350 quid plans, which are structural calculations for the steelwork that you'll need to have, which will support your first floor of your house when the wall comes out, and that will have to go in. And that is the day the builders dread on a job, isn't it?
Yeah, because then all the mess they're making then filters into the house, of course.
Yeah, but also, Chris, it is this steel weighs. It's done in kilos per metre. They weigh about 80, 90 kilos per metre, and you could be putting a 4.2 metre steel in, and you have to set up bandstands, scaffold boards, anything, and you've basically got this small channel 8 foot up that you have to, two little ledges you have to lift it up onto, and you got 6 blokes, and you draft your mates in, don't you? Blokes down the road.
Scaffolders.
Yeah, get absolutely everybody in, and this is where you could lose a finger, and I mean, it is absolutely horrible, isn't it?
It is. It is, but there's bugger all you can do about it. You can't get a crane in. Cranes don't work with steels that go into walls. Even if you're daft enough to think about getting a crane in, you can't use it. So you just have to manhandle the bugger. No matter how long or how heavy it is, you've got to get enough blokes in to manhandle the bugger. And you've got to have one boss doing it.
Exactly. I've been lifting steels in before, and you'll have been the same, where when one end goes up, all the weight comes onto the other end, and then, this thing does weigh hundreds of kilos, and you actually think, I can't hold it anymore, I'm going to drop it. But you do,
I know.
And you're under there with your mate, and you're going, quick, and they're swearing and shouting. So if I were you, customer, just say to the guys, when's the steel coming, or when are the steels coming, and just go off and have a cup of coffee in town, or go and get a pizza in Leyburn with Malcolm, and just stay out of the way, because it's very nice to come back and the steel's in, but you do not want to be there, and you'll panic your head off, won't you?
Yes, go and do what people who never actually do any physical hard work do. I never know what that is. I mean, because I'm always doing if there's any physical hard work to do, somebody points at me and I'm the one doing it. I'm never the one who goes off for a platte or
a what? A platte? A latte?
All right, if you like. Latte. Yeah. Sorry, mate. Yeah. I don't do that sort of shit. So no.
I mean, you'll have never had it so that a job needs doing in your house, and you go off for the day doing whatever work, and you come back and the job is done.
Doing the job.
You'll have done every single job in your house for the past 40 years, won't you?
Yeah, indeed, mate. Yeah.
That's
why I'm going to Portugal. But then in Portugal my house needs an awful lot of work doing. So out of the frying pan into the fuego, mate.
Into the fuego, yes, and it will all start again, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be sunny though.
We're going back to the myth of Sisyphus, aren't we?
We certainly are.
Well, listen, anyway, so just to wrap this up, go to www.
How many W's are there in this bloody?
There's loads. Because the website's so good, there's loads of W's. .buildingsheriff.com. I wonder if there's a www.com.
I suspect there will be.
Yeah, I'll look it up. And then all of the information is there on our extensions site. Yeah. So it's almost like a separate site. But if you have a look around and have a click, you'll go right to the bottom, click on the link, and it goes through structural engineers, it goes through planning permissions, it goes through building inspectors. These guys will need to come in. Now, something you do need to know, viewers and potential extension people, is that the guys can't just do a bad job. They can't just put the steel in as they like. They can't just build the walls and insulate it as they like. There's a man who comes to check everything, isn't there, Chris?
Indeed, the building inspector, the terror of the streets, the building inspector. Although I do realise since I came up to Yorkshire, that there is one up here that is human, but I never met a human one. I never met a human building inspector until I came to Yorkshire.
No, we've got one human one.
Have you?
The Polish chap. Yeah,
is
he's
he?
Excellent.
That's good. I'm glad he's a Pole because I like Polish lads.
Oh, he's been around we've been using him 20 odd years, and he's a great chap. And the thing is that because he knows us, and especially Gummy and the boys, he will look at the work, but he'll come in assuming you've done the right job and see that you have. As opposed to if the building inspector doesn't know you, he will study your work and he'll say, oh no, you need to put a bit more insulation in there, or you need to do this a bit more and do that a bit more. So he will keep his beady eye on you, won't he?
Yeah, and he's on you, the punter's side. He's not on the builder's side at all.
Now he's on the side of safety, and he's on the side of his job, because if he allows work to go through that doesn't meet regulations, he's fired. And so the final thing, once the work is finished, is a thing that you'll hear called the sign-off. And the sign-off is when your builder has done all of the work, and forget payment, it's nothing to do with any of that. But this is so that, let's say you want to sell your house, and you've got your fabulous new extension, and you're going to make some money on it. Unless it's signed off by the building inspector, that it is not deemed as being safe and complete. So the sign-off will include electrical certificates if you've had any work done in your wiring done in your kitchen, and gas certificates if you've had a new boiler installed, and all of this is there to protect you, isn't it? So just be aware that the building inspector is on your side, as Chris said. Well, now, Chris, it's time for questions. Right, welcome back to the Building Sheriffs. I've just done my daft little jingle, and now it is time for questions. So
jolly good. My question first,
email,
Bruce.
Twitter, and
do your daft little
Facebook,
jingle though, and then I'll say it.
Chris, and that's all that happens. Nobody else asks anyone any other questions, I don't believe, do they, Chris?
I'm sorry. I think you'll find, Pooch, that I asked my internationally famous quiz question at this point, matey.
Yeah, but
the one that makes you look like a complete know-nothing arse. Shall I do it now?
You quite enjoy that, don't you?
Shall I? I do. Christ, I do. I'm going to be really upset when this quiz runs out and I can't ask these anymore. Because now we're on question 9, and I do believe you got 1.5 points out of 9 so far.
1.5 out of 9, yep.
And you may remember that the last one, well, not the last one, but the penultimate one was about Frank. And I know you like Frank. So now this is question 9, and this is it. Okay.
Okay, go on.
Old Blue Eyes again in a different song, informs us that if our alcoholic requirements are, how shall we say, unusual, possibly leaning towards the risque, he knows just where we can acquire such a beverage. Where exactly?
Yeah, but that's too easy.
I'm sorry, Poots. Go.
Hey, Far Bombay.
Good.
There's a bar
lad.
in Far Bombay.
If you could use some exotic booze, there's a bar in old Bombay.
Far Bombay, come fly with me. Okay. So viewers, actually, I have got 9 out of 9 so far. They're all that easy, and I don't look like a complete arse, do I, Chris?
Not on this occasion. No, you don't, Pooch.
I like the questions about 1890s music hall that you were asking, because I know so much about that. Right up your street. Okay, so here we go, Chris. So, Brian in Watford asks, I have a plastic bath panel, which I hate. I'm not bad at DIY and would like to make a wooden one and tile it. Any tips?
Well, the first thing you do is take away the panel, obviously, but you got to make sure that the bath is fully secured. So ideally, when you stand on the outside corner of the bath, it doesn't move at all. So you have to make a frame. You make a 2x2 frame, which follows the line of the inside of the bath. Use the thickest timber you can, thickest sheet timber. You probably get an 8x2 waterproof loft board, a chipboard loft board, which should do the job superbly. But don't expect the floor won't be level. The bath will be sloping down. Don't expect to get it done in one hit, matey. You could be doing it for 5 hours. It could take you that long just to cut the panel and make the frame. Then you've got to do the tiling. But think about it for a while. Get it. The measurements are really important because everything has to be underneath the outside lip of the outside top lip of the bath. Yeah, the tiling goes up underneath that.
Exactly.
So your frame actually starts about an inch in from that.
Yes. No. That's all really good advice. Right, we are moving on to Twitter, and as ever, we go on to Twitter trends, and as I say, usually I'm none the wiser because I've been working. Chris has been dreaming about Portugal and tweeting about things he's done. I've just had a beef dripping sandwich and all that kind of stuff. Well, today, you must know, Chris, it's National Siblings Day.
Siblings, you say? Right.
Yes.
Well, in that case, how come my brother and sister haven't phoned me?
Well, did you phone them?
Well, no, but they're younger than me, so they obviously know all about what's it called, social media. I'm way too old to know A, about social media, and B, what the ludicrous trend is. What's it called, trending? You know, that might be relevant on social media. So how am I supposed to know it's Siblings Day? And who invented that anyway? And why? What for? What's the point? I'll tell you how often I ring them. Okay, I ring them on the third nag from Jan, and that is twice a year for Tim. And about 6 or 8 times a year for my sister Cheryl. And she'll say, Chris, and all she has to, and it's always on Sunday evening when we come back from the pub, and I'm stood there waiting for my dinner and she's having to cook it. And she says, I'll tell you what you can do now. And I know what she's going to say. And I say, oh, no, please, no. You know, anyway. And the only time, and this is it, the only time my brother ever phones me is when he hits the wrong button on his mobile.
Surely he rings when it's your wedding anniversary, your birthday, and he rings your children when it's their birthdays.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good lad.
And you know, it's funny you say that, Chris, because even as a kid, the only interaction my mum and dad ever had that I can remember, I mean, I never saw them having a conversation or anything, was my mum saying to my dad, you should ring your father. And Joe always says to me, you should ring your dad. You should ring your dad. Have you rung your brother? It's mad, isn't it?
Besides that, your dad was never going to phone his father. First of all, his father lived in Italy. He probably didn't even have a bloody phone. And even if your dad wanted to phone his father, it would have taken him 16 hours to get through, I imagine, back in 1969.
Well, And that's the funny thing. He never wanted to, and I remember him never wanting to. And then he'd pass us on to the phone, and we'd have to, listen to a load of Italian we didn't understand then. And but now my dad expects me to ring him all the time. Why haven't you rung me? He says.
Does he?
Oh yeah,
now?
he rings up.
Does he now?
And when I speak to him, he doesn't say hello. The first thing he says is, "Why haven't you rung me?" And I go, "Oh, hi Dad, how are you?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Why haven't you rung me?"
Does he?
I said, I've been busy. And then he goes, "When am I going to see you?" I said, "Oh, well, I know. It's anyway, blah, blah, blah." So, a Twitter question, Chris, if I can find it in my notes here, is at 4 and 20 pies. Now, I reckon this must be an Aussie because I know from living in Australia, they have 4 and 20 pies out in Australia. I need to drill through the wall of my house for an extra aerial cable. It is at ground level. How difficult is this?
Well, it's not difficult. Does Matey want to do it himself?
Yeah.
Well, if you've got I presume your house is, well, it'll be 250 mil or 300 mil thick, your wall, based on how old your house is. And if you've got a 350 mil drill bit, go for it, matey, because you're going to get through in 1 or 2 if you've got a cavity wall. But if you've only got a dozy little Black & Decker drill that your granny gave you for Christmas, sorry Black & Decker, the ones that grannies used to give, and you've only got one drill that's 4 inches long, don't even think about it, mate.
Right, and moving on to Facebook, Chris, Sue Marsh, she says, I started listening to your podcasts on my husband's recommendation. By the way, do you notice I do my telephone voice when I read these? My first thought was, a podcast about building by builders, no thanks. She's put an exclamation mark in. But I can tolerate them now, thanks Sue. One thing, has EW really been married 3 times, or is this just some banter?
I'm afraid, Sue, it's the truth. I'm lucky to get away with 3, to be honest.
It's hardly something that we think as like a business would reflect brilliantly.
No. If I was in any other trading business, it would be a detrimental, wouldn't it? Really, but yeah, it's all true. It's all true, Chucky Egg, and I'm not very proud of it. But
Okay, well, thank you for listening, Sue. I wonder if your husband's a builder. I would like, if anyone's out there listening, we'd love a bit of feedback. You can go to Twitter or to Facebook, and if there are any builders out there, and we appreciate all comments, although anything negative, I will tell you to go fuck yourself.
You're not going to leave that in, are you?
I am. Right.
You won't let me say anything, but you can say that. Bad show.
Well, I'm allowed 1 swear word. You're not allowed any.
All right. Good lad. Because, I must admit, though, Pooch, I would say that word in a nasty northern builder's accent, whereas you, as by definition, have just stated that you would be saying it with your best telephone voice, and it's a bit like Lorna. It sounded lovely.
It sounded positively pleasant, didn't it?
Indeed, it did.
But what are you up to, very quickly?
I'm going to have another drink right now. Then we've got a lamb shoulder that's been slowly roasting in the oven since 3 o'clock this afternoon, and the house is full of the most fantastic smell of roasting lamb. Oh boy! And Jan's already opened a really nice bottle of red. I can't wait,
mate. You enjoy it.
Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.
You bellend.
Sooty, always we missed you, Sooty. Always the beachy trouble's always brewing, but really we must be fair. He's the cutest, sweetest, lovable teddy bear.
Okay, Sooty, take it away on the xylophone. Ladies and gentlemen, Sooty.